In this series, I'm going to build a small army and small unit size. So the first thing you do is save. Always save, because you're going to have to go back and reload when you do this, because you're going to trigger scaling and you're going to want to go back to the pre-scaling amount. That's how you beat scaling. And the first thing you do is go to the battle map and check what the number is the enemy has. I mentioned in the last video that I put 4 perks in Recon. You only need 2 perks in Recon. The other 2 perks are just a personal favorite. The other 2 perks allow you to see the enemy army during the battle. So you only need 2 perks in Recon. And also I found out that I used Econ. I bought a lot of weapons and not a lot of veterans all the way to Antietam. And this is important going into Antietam. You're going to buy a lot of weapons, so you're going to want to reduce weapon costs. You don't need a lot of veterans. So I exchange reputation and I get, I go ahead and I get 2,000 palmettos because they're free. And that allows me to build up 2 units. Now what I want to do is, in the side battles, it is the average unit size that drives up scaling. Almost all side battles are like that. And in the grand battles, it's total army size. Also, you'll notice that the number of units might not change. You increase the amount of units that you have, or the number of men in your army, and the total number of units the enemy has doesn't change, but the number of troops they have does go up. So what you end up with is you have bigger enemy units. So by keeping your units scaled down to a low point, what happens is the enemy unit size is basically scaling to you. So the other thing I'm doing is I've decided that I want to get, I need to get a cav unit started, and I need to get a skirmisher sniper unit started. So on normal difficulty, you don't need to fiddle with skirmishers. They're fun, but you don't need to fiddle with them. On major general difficulty, you're going to need to fiddle with skirmishers. Skirmishers are going to be really important to you. The enemy units are not only going to be bigger, but they're going to have 2 and 3 stars, and these skirmisher units are going to be very, very important. And so I want to get a unit started right away so it has some nice unit perks going into first bull run. I make a decision at a point here that I want the 10-pound ordnance. It's not that the 6-pounders aren't good, but this is a battle where I'm going to have to be doing some attacking, and the 10-pounders are much better for this second half of the battle. The other thing I want to do is I get rid of the unit perks that the army starts with. And what I mean by that is a lot of these guys start with morale, and supply, which are the two they're worthless. The morale and supply are really bad. So what I've done is I've gotten all the troops out of my manpower pool, dissolved the units, and rebuilt them, recreated them. And what that allowed me to do then is select the unit perks. So I'm very, very picky about what I want my unit perks to be and what perks I want for my commanders. So yeah, now I get to select the unit perk, and of course it's stamina. That was one of the first things I wanted to do. One of the things I do is I take a look, how many weapons do I have across how many units? That affects how I level my army. Okay, so I have driven up scaling. When I went here the first time, it was a lower number. I think it was 6,900, I think. So I'm going to create what Atheist calls ballast units. That's 500 men, 500-man infantry units. And I'm going to create some of those. And I'm looking for any free weapons. What can I create for free? Because I don't want to spend money. So I go ahead and buy that. Okay, now I have 2 units of 10-pound ordnance. That's way better than having the 6-pounders. The 6-pounders, I don't mind fighting with them, but for this battle, it's definitely worth taking the hit to morale. So I'm labeling all my units. In my previous playthrough, I put the efficiency of the units on, and on the unit so I could tell how efficient the unit was. That was mainly for the viewer. I'm not going to do that this time. I just want to know what weapons my units are using. So, because that to me is the important number. So I check scaling again, and I'm not going to buy anything more than I absolutely have to. Okay, and scaling went up. So that's what you do. You add a little bit, and you see the effect on scaling. Then you know if you added something, you either reload or you dissolve units, and you know you experiment. Um, Adding units, subtract, see scaling went down. So I'm pretty happy, I think, with that number. I don't want to go in with fewer units. I have an opportunity to get two of these majors promoted. I want to do that. I don't like the two perks that my leader has, so he's going to get replaced at Shiloh with Grant because the perks that the commander has is really important. And I went two different perks for than this guy has. So he's going to be gone, but that always happens. And anyway, we're ready for the next battle. I have a bunch of small units, which is good. And that's going to be perfect then for going into the grand battle after this one. I'll show you how I do that when we go into camp after distress call. Thanks.